obtain, obtain, obtain. I'd be happy to help you understand the word obtain. So, let's start with the basics. Obtain is a verb, which means it is an action word that shows what someone or something is doing. In common usage, obtain typically means to get hold of something, either by purchasing it, receiving it as a gift, or achieving it through one's own efforts. For example, you might say, I obtained a scholarship to study abroad, meaning you managed to secure the funding to go on that trip. One special note about the usage of obtain is that it can sometimes be confused with get. But while get often implies a quicker or more sudden action, e.g., I got a phone call, obtain usually implies something more deliberate and effortful, like working hard to earn a degree. You can use the word obtain in a formal setting like a university where you're trying to acquire a research grant. For instance, to obtain funding for this project, we'll need to submit a detailed proposal by the end of next month. This sentence is suitable because it's a clear and concise request, perfect for an academic environment. In casual conversations, like between friends or family members, you can use obtain in a more relaxed tone, such as, I'm trying to obtain tickets to the sold-out concert this weekend. Do you think we'll be able to get any? This example sentence works well because it's an informal and straightforward inquiry, typical of everyday conversations. In business or professional settings, like when discussing product specifications or technical requirements, you can use obtain in a more formal and objective tone, such as, to obtain the necessary certifications for this software, we need to meet specific standards and undergo rigorous testing procedures. This sentence is suitable because it's clear, concise, and relevant to the topic at hand, typical of professional discourse. So, you know how sometimes we need something, and we figure out ways to get it? That's what obtain is about. It means getting hold of something, whether it's an object, some information, or even a skill. The main characteristic is that it's not necessarily creating or making something new, but rather finding or accessing it in some way. You can think of similar concepts like get, acquire, or procure. They all mean taking possession of something, whether it's temporary or long-term. As for how to use it, just remember that when you want to say someone gets something they didn't have before, obtain is a good choice. For example, if you're learning a new language and finally manage to order food in the local restaurant without making a mistake, you can say, I obtained some confidence in my speaking skills. Quote, participate, participate, participate. Let's talk about the word participate. So, participate is a verb, which means it shows an action or a state of being. And in this case, it's used to describe someone actively taking part in something. In common usage, you'll often hear people say things like, I participate in a book club every month, or, the kids love to participate in sports tournaments. The key thing to notice here is that participate doesn't just mean being present. It means actually engaging with the activity, contributing to it, and maybe even influencing its outcome. For example, if you attend a concert but don't sing along or dance, you're just watching. If you get up on stage and start playing an instrument, that's participating. So, participate is all about being actively involved, not just observing from the sidelines. In a formal setting such as a university lecture hall, Professor Johnson says, I'm happy to announce that we have received funding for our research project, and I encourage all students who are interested in contributing their ideas to participate. In the discussion next Thursday, we will be addressing some of the key findings, and it's an excellent opportunity to engage with your peers. This example illustrates a formal usage of the word participate, where Professor Johnson is inviting students to contribute and join in on the discussion. In a casual conversation, you might say something like, "Hey guys, I'm thinking of joining that cooking class downtown. Do any of you want to participate and learn how to make some new dishes with me? It'll be fun. We can always use a few more hands in the kitchen." This example shows a casual usage of the word participate, where the speaker is inviting friends to join them in an activity. In a business or academic setting, you might say, "We have identified 3 potential collaborators for our new project, and we are eager for their team members to participate in the planning meetings. We believe that their expertise will be invaluable in shaping the overall strategy." This example demonstrates a business or academic usage of the word participate, where the speaker is referring to the active involvement and contribution of external stakeholders in the decision-making process. So, you're learning about this word that means being actively involved in something and contributing your thoughts, feelings, or actions. Imagine you're at a class discussion and everyone is sharing their ideas on a topic. It's like taking a step forward and joining in on the conversation, rather than just listening to what others have to say. The main characteristic of this word is that it implies an active role, where you're not just observing, but actually doing or saying something that adds value to the situation. It's kind of like join in or get involved. But with a slightly different tone, it's more about being a willing and enthusiastic contributor. In everyday life, this word is used when people want to engage with others, share their experiences, or take on new challenges together. Perceive. 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 Let's break down the word perceive. As a verb, it means to become aware of something through our senses, especially sight or hearing, but also through intuition or experience. In common usage, we perceive things like sights and sounds around us every day. For example, I perceived the beauty of the sunset, or she perceived the sound of footsteps behind her. We can also use it to talk about understanding or interpreting something, such as he perceived the intention behind the words, or they perceived the mistake that was made. One special note is that when we perceive something, it's not just a physical experience, it's also a mental one. So, when you're learning English, try to remember that perceive has a strong connection to both our senses and our understanding of the world around us. Here are 3 examples of how to use the word perceive in different contexts. In a formal setting, such as a lecture or academic paper, you might say, "The research team found that participants who were more empathetic tended to perceive their customers' needs more accurately." This sentence uses perceive to mean to gain an impression or understanding of something through one's senses, and is likely used in a context where the speaker wants to convey the results of a scientific study. The formal tone and language used here are typical of academic writing. In casual conversation, you might say, "I have no idea how he perceives my jokes, I thought they were hilarious." Here, perceive means to interpret or understand something in a particular way, often with a hint of subjectivity. This usage is common in everyday speech and suggests that the speaker is discussing their opinions or perspectives on a topic. In a business context, such as a meeting or report, you might say, "Our market analysis suggests that customers from different demographics may perceive our brand values differently. In this case, perceive means to have an opinion or impression of something, often influenced by one's experiences and background. This usage is typical of business writing and implies that the speaker is discussing marketing strategies and customer attitudes towards a company or product. So you want to know what perceive means? Well, essentially, when we say that someone can perceive something, we're talking about how they use their senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell, to understand and interpret information from the world around them. It's like having a clear picture or a feeling in your mind about what's happening. Main characteristics of perceiving are that it's not just about knowing facts, but also understanding the context and nuances of things. Similar concepts to this would be understand, know, and realize. When we use perceive in a sentence, we're usually talking about how someone has developed an insight or an idea based on what they've seen, heard, or experienced. It's like having a moment of clarity that helps you make sense of things.